You have probably heard that your cat sees you as her mother. The truth is, no one can actually prove that. She does not have a word for you or a name for what you are to her. But here is what we can prove. Almost every gentle thing she does to you, the way she greets you at the door, the way she presses her paws into your stomach late at night, she first learned to do for one creature only, her mother. She picked it up in the very first weeks of her life, before she could even open her eyes. She was supposed to leave all of it behind. Instead, she handed it to you. And why she did is stranger and warmer than she loves you. To understand why, you have to go back to before she ever met you, back to what a cat actually is when no human is anywhere in the picture. A cat is not a pack animal. It is not a dog. A wild cat lives most of its life alone, hunting alone, walking alone through the tall grass, guarding its own patch of ground and keeping its distance from nearly every other cat it meets. It does not greet the others with any joy. It tolerates them, or it drives them off. For most of its life, company is a threat, not a comfort. For an animal built like that, being friendly is not the default setting. It is the rare exception. And there is really only one time in a cat's natural life when that exception gets made, at the very beginning, between a mother and her kittens. John Bradshaw, the cat behavior expert at the University of Bristol, who wrote the book Cat Sense, puts it about as plainly as it can be put. Almost all of the friendly behavior a cat has must have started out as mother and kitten behavior. The tail held high, the rubbing around your legs, the grooming, the soft calls. In a solitary species, the mother was the only one a cat was ever truly safe being gentle with. So think about what that means for a newborn kitten. In those first weeks, tiny and blind against her mother's side, she is not learning how to be a cat in general. She is learning one relationship. Her mother is warmth. Her mother is food. Her mother is the thing that keeps the cold and the danger on the other side of the world. Researchers even have a name for this stretch of time. They call it the socialization window, roughly 2 to 7 weeks of age, and it is when a kitten's brain quietly decides who counts as safe. Whatever she learns to trust inside that window, she tends to trust for the rest of her life. And her mother does not only feed her, she teaches her what is dangerous and what is harmless. A calm, steady mother tends to raise calm, steady kittens because the little one is watching her every reaction, learning the shape of a safe world from the only source it has. And then she is supposed to grow up. She is meant to be weaned, to wander off, to become a solitary cat like every cat before her, and to never need any of that closeness again. Most cats in the wild really do close that door. Yours never closed it, and the reason why is the whole rest of this story. Watch what happens the next time you come home. You put your key in the lock, and before you are even through the door, she is already there to meet you. And if you look at her tail in that moment, really look at it, it is standing straight up toward the ceiling, maybe with a little hook at the very tip. We see it so often that we have stopped seeing it at all. But a cat does not raise its tail like that for just anyone. That straight-up tail is one of the very first things a kitten ever does. She lifts it to greet her mother, a small signal that means, I am little, I am friendly, I am yours. Adult cats living wild barely use it, except with the few cats they genuinely trust. And now your cat crosses the floor toward you, a creature 10 times her size, and raises the same little flag she first raised for her mother. Often there is a sound with it, not quite a meow, higher, rolled, almost a bird's chirp. That sound is called a trill. A mother cat trills to call her kittens, to tell them to come, to follow, to gather close. Kittens learn it in the nest, and here is the detail that stays with me. Researchers have found that a kitten will answer its own mother's trill in particular over the trill of any other cat in the world. And watch what she does once she reaches you. She whines around your legs or pushes the side of her face against your hand, your ankle, the edge of the doorway. There is more to that than affection. A kitten rubs against her mother to pick up her scent, so the two of them smell like one family, one safe unit. When your cat presses her cheek into you, she is folding you into that same shared scent, quietly telling the world that you belong to her. So every part of that homecoming, the lifted tail, the chirp, the cheek against your hand, is the exact greeting she was born to share with one single being. She simply decided that being is you. Which brings us back to where we started, to her paws on your stomach, late at night. When a kitten is first born, nearly helpless, she can already do one useful thing. She can knead. She presses her tiny paws into her mother's belly, one and then the other, and that soft pressure helps the milk flow down. It is the first real thing she learns to do with her body, and it is bound up with the warmest moment she knows, being fed, being safe, being pressed against her mother. She is supposed to outgrow it once she is weaned. She does not need it anymore. But the feeling was wired in too early and too deep to ever fully leave. So when your grown cat climbs onto your lap and starts that same slow push, 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 she is not asking you for anything. Veterinarians will tell you it brings back the same wave of calm she felt as a newborn, a small release of the same soothing chemistry that once passed between her and her mother. Her body is simply reaching for the oldest comfort it owns. Some cats will even gently suckle at a blanket or a sleeve while they do it, the ones who left their mothers a little too soon, still looking for her in the fabric. And usually, there is a purr underneath all of it. We think of a purr as plain contentment, but its first job was quieter and stranger than that. A nursing kitten purrs partly to tell her mother to stay still, to not get up while she feeds. It began as a way to hold her mother in place. So picture the whole scene again. It is 11 at night, her claws are working into your legs slightly more than you would like, and she is purring. The arithmetic in her head still comes out exactly the way it did on her very first day. You are warmth. You are food. You are safe. And you are the one she does this for. Then she folds her paws under herself, goes quiet, and we move on, the way we always do. By now you might be thinking that this is all very sweet, but it is still just a story we like to tell ourselves, a handful of cute habits left over from kittenhood. So let me show you the part that is not a story. In 2019, a researcher named Kristen Vitale at Oregon State University ran an experiment that until then had really only been done with human babies and with dogs. It is called the Secure Base Test. You bring a cat into a room it has never seen before with its owner. The owner sits with it for a couple of minutes. Then the owner stands up and leaves, and the cat is alone in the strange room. And after a little while, the owner comes back. What the scientists were watching for was the reunion, because the way any small creature greets the person who just returned tells you almost everything about the bond between them. A securely attached baby, when its parent walks back in, settles. It takes comfort, and then it feels safe enough to go and explore the room. An insecure one cannot settle. It clings, or it freezes, or it pretends not to care at all. When they scored the cats, the result was hard to argue with. About 65% of the cats showed secure attachment to their person. In human infants, the figure is also about 65%. The cats had landed in almost the exact same place as human children. When that same test is run on dogs, our most famously devoted companions, about 58% come out securely attached. The cats, at 65%, were right there beside them. And it held steady whether they were young kittens or fully grown adults. The researchers even retested some of the cats after weeks of extra handling and socializing, and the bond barely moved. It was not a habit you could train into them. It was already there. Vitale's own conclusion is the line that matters most for everything we have been talking about. The attachment a cat forms to a person, she found, appears to be an adaptation of the bond between offspring and caretaker. In plain words, the love your cat feels for you runs on the very same wiring she was born with for her mother. Not a copy of it, the same system, simply pointed at you. That is not a feeling you are imagining into her. That is something a scientist measured. There is one last thing she does, and it might be the quietest of them all, which is exactly why it carries the most weight. She falls asleep on you. A cat sleeps for most of the day, and she can pick anywhere to do it. The top of the wardrobe, a sunlit shelf, a cardboard box in the dark, all of it hers for the taking. She chose the rise and fall of your chest instead. To see how remarkable that is, remember what sleep means for a cat. Awake, she is fast and sharp and nearly impossible to catch off guard. Asleep, she is none of those things. Sleep is the single moment a cat is truly defenseless, the one time something could reach her before she could run. In the wild, a kitten can only afford to close her eyes in one place in the entire world, pressed against her mother, where she knows nothing is coming for her. So when your cat steps onto your chest or folds herself into the bend of your knees and lets her eyes drift shut and lets her breathing slow down and go deep, understand what she is actually doing. She is performing the most vulnerable act there is for her kind, and she has decided she can do it beside you. She has taken the one place that once belonged only to her mother, the only place in the world safe enough to lose consciousness, and she has handed it to you. We started by admitting something, that no one can prove your cat thinks you are her mother. After everything we have just seen, that is still true. Bradshaw, the same expert from the beginning, will only go so far as to say we cannot tell whether she sees you as a parent or simply as another member of her family. She has never sorted you into any category the way a person would. But notice that the not knowing takes nothing away, because the one thing we can say with complete certainty is this: every single one of these behaviors comes from the same source. There is nowhere else for them to come from. A cat is born able to be gentle with exactly one being in the world, and everything tender she knows how to do, she first learned to do for her mother. So it was never really that you arrived and replaced her mother. It is that your cat came into the world knowing only one language of love, the language she was meant to use up in her first few weeks, and then leave behind forever. And instead of leaving it behind, she kept it. She carried all of it with her into her grown-up life. And out of everyone she has ever met, she chose to keep speaking it to you. So tonight, when she climbs onto you and presses her paws into your stomach and begins that slow, familiar push, the same thing she learned before she could even open her eyes, you will know exactly what you are looking at. Out of a whole life that was built to be lived alone, your cat kept one door open. You are the one she never had to grow up and leave behind. And every single night, she keeps choosing to walk back through it, toward you. So the next time someone tells you the cats are cold or that they only stay for the food in the bowl, you will know better. You will know that everything warm your cat does, she first learned in the only place a cat is ever taught how to love. I would love to know which one your cat does. Does she need you in the evening? Or trill at the door when you come home? Or fall asleep right on your chest? Tell me down in the comments, and tell me her name while you are there. And if you want to understand more of what she has been quietly telling you all this time, the next video is already waiting for you on the screen. I will see you in that one.